Phantom fans, my name is Sam Olmstead. His name is Justin Irwin. This is the Dump and Chase podcast. This week's episode is brought to you by the great people at Advanced Podiatry. For information on treatments and services offered, office locations, and appointment scheduling, including same-day appointments, visit advancedpodiatry.com. So thank you for tuning in, everyone, this week, either on Western Reserve Radio, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. So, Justin, over the course of 5 years, we have watched the Phantoms go to the Eastern Conference Finals, the Clark Cup Finals, an early first-round exit, a canceled season due to COVID, and the worst season in Phantoms history. And now, for the first time since the 18-19 season, the Phantoms have returned to the Clark Cup playoffs.
Yeah, so we're in. We did it under our own power, didn't need any outside help. So good for us. We've still got a week to go. Let's not let up.
Well, there is some technicalities to that, but I'll be getting into that later on in the episode. So we're coming off a 3-point weekend after a pair of games with the East leading Chicago Steel. And even though the Friday game was an overtime loss, we managed to keep in good spirits.
It was a fun night.
Yeah, by virtue of entering a contest through the Phantoms and T-Mobile back in October that I had completely forgotten about in the months since, found out I had won a suite to the Friday night game. Had room for a few other people, so ended up inviting the entire 222 crew up to the suite. Massive spread of food. How's that leftover pulled pork barbecue treating you?
I had it for breakfast like Saturday and Sunday, and I ran out of buns, so I couldn't have it for breakfast this morning.
So in your mind, the true breakfast of champions is barbecue pulled pork.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not pouring milk on. You're not pouring milk on it, are you? Slicing up strawberries.
No. Nice whole wheat buns.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, I mean, it was a fun night. Just like I said, a severe amount of food. Sparky even came up and gave us a visit. I didn't see it. I didn't even know Sparky was there, but apparently all the kids saw it.
He even knocked.
Yeah. Definitely want to thank Kelsey, plus Tiffany Coma from the Cavelli Center staff and Linda Brown from T-Mobile. Yeah, that was incredible. That was actually the first night I was able to bring my entire family to a game. It's always been split in some combination of the five of us. This was the first time like all five of us came to a game together. So after 6 years, finally made that work.
Yeah, and I mean, you had enough room for Dash to run around. So
yeah. All right, so yeah, we're coming down to the final week of the regular season. Playoffs are right around the corner, so we're going to take a look at where the Eastern Conference is right now. So at this point, every team has played 60 games. Every team only has 2 games left this weekend. So right now, as it's been most of the season, Chicago's sitting in first with 85 points. Dubuque in second with 83. Muskegon in third with 70 points, Youngstown in fourth with 66, Madison right now in fifth place with 61 points, Cedar Rapids at the moment sitting in that final playoff spot at number 6 with 59 points, and Team USA trailing them by 1 at 58, and Green Bay, of course, has been eliminated. They are only at 48. Right off the bat, the point I want to make, Youngstown is locked into the 4th seed. No matter what happens this weekend, Youngstown can't move up or down. We are 5 points ahead of Madison, so obviously they can't make up that ground. We can tie Muskegon at 70 points, but we would lose the first tiebreaker, the regulation and overtime wins. So we are locked into 4th place no matter what. Madison in 5th place. They have a home and home with Green Bay this weekend. And right now, Green Bay on an 8-game losing streak. And in their last 12 games, they have 1 win and 1 overtime loss. So I statistically, it would be safe to assume, barring a complete breakdown by Madison, they probably will take these 2 games with Green Bay and lock up that 5 seed.
Yeah. Green Bay has not been putting up much fight lately. So, yeah, I mean, it looks set, but we'll see what happens.
Cedar Rapids, like I said, currently in the 6th spot. Their final 2 games is a home and home with Dubuque. I could see this very easily could go as a split weekend with Cedar Rapids and Dubuque. Cedar Rapids is 3-1 at home against Dubuque. They're 0-4 on the road. And we discussed this last week with the difference between Cedar Rapids' home and away record. So, we could see a scenario of that weekend getting split there. And then, of course, Team USA, who was fighting for that last spot, sitting in 7th, their final 2 games, which will be the 17 squad, is a home and home this weekend with Youngstown. So statistically, Youngstown should win, but like I said, we're kind of in a spot where, like I said, it really doesn't matter what happens to us this weekend. We're 4th no matter what.
No, I don't think you want to go into the playoffs dropping 2 games to the under 17s. That just doesn't really, get the momentum going into the playoffs. And with that short turnaround, I like to have us firing on all cylinders.
And then at the top of the conference, you have Dubuque and Chicago separated by 2 points, again with Chicago in first place. Chicago's last 2 games of the season, that is a home and home with Muskegon. Now, on the season, Chicago is 5-0-2 against the Lumberjacks. It's going to be a little bit different this weekend. Chicago's Adam Fantilli and Nick Moldenhauer, they will be playing for Team Canada in the U18 World Championships. They will be gone for a little while. Very quite possibly. I mean, Chicago will have a first round bye. Yeah, the USHL second round is scheduled to run between April 28th and May 4th, and it's a best of 3. And this tournament will be running April 23rd to May 1st, and it'll be taking place in Germany.
Yeah, so there's a good chance that, a deep run by Canada. Chicago is missing at least one of its best players to this tournament. I guess both of them are decent. But yeah, it's really bad timing, but I guess it could be worse. Chicago is not playing the first round.
Now, I will bring up the point this season. Chicago is 2-3-1 when Adam Fantilli is not in the lineup. And one of those 2 wins was this past weekend where Chicago barely eked out a 3-2 overtime win over the U17s.
Yeah, he is definitely one of the top scorers in the league. Going to be a top NHL draft pick. I don't think there's, anybody who will argue that. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a blow to them to lose him for a few games to start the playoffs. So, but, it's a tournament. They might exit early, and who knows? Let's just hope, he's able to perform it at his top.
Well, needless to say, at least what we've seen on social media so far, Chicago fans are not entirely too happy about this. So let's say for as far as a fan reaction goes, we happen to have somebody kind of hanging out in the Zoom room with us tonight. That could bring a little bit of a fan perspective, because also Michael Master-Domenico, if I got that right, from Lincoln, is also taking off to the U18 World Championships. And we just so happen to have one of the hosts of Thunderstruck, the unofficial Lincoln Stars podcast, hanging out in the Zoom room tonight. So, BA, how you doing there, bud?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Yeah, so you guys will be losing a player, and you are playing. You guys are pretty much locked into the 3rd seed, so you guys will be playing the first round next week. So, as a Lincoln fan, how are you feeling about that?
As a fan, it kind of sucks, but Gene and I talked about it on our podcast today that any chance you get to represent your country, you got to take it. So I definitely feel that Mastro should take the chance, go out there and play with Team Canada. And yeah, he's going to miss the first round for sure, possibly parts of the second round. But when we play for that Clark Cup, he'll be back.
Is anybody from Tri-City going to this tournament, or?
Not that I know of. I haven't even looked at the rosters. I just saw the uproar from Chicago fans, like all 4 of them that have a say in all the old internet about their team, where they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. But
those 4 were all of the season ticket holders. So
yeah, they were. And I mean, I don't think anybody here in Lincoln really knows that match was going to be gone, other than his teammates right now. So
all righty, well, thank you, Brandon, for jumping in here real quick. Now I'm going to do to you what Gene's been wanting to do for months now, and I'm going to put you back on mute. So thank you for hopping in here real quick.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so in this episode, we will be recapping the 2 games over the past weekend with Chicago. We will hear post-game comments after the Saturday game from Coach Brad Patterson. We'll go over our this week's segment of 4 points and name our 3 stars of the week. We will also have an interview with Phantoms record breaker, defenseman, and assistant captain Trey Taylor. and we will preview the final regular season weekend with the U17s. So we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we'll recap this last weekend with the Chicago Steel. You're listening to the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Miss an episode of By All Means, and you could miss a lot.
I have the sound up, and I appreciate the guys that do the work now. But it is with great appreciation I see what the guys do, not only the announcers, but also the players. So we've had wonderful playoffs. I mean, single, double, triple overtime games. It's been fantastic.
By All Means, Tuesdays at 5, right here on Western Reserve Radio and streaming live on westernreserveradio.com.
And we're back. So this past weekend, the Phantoms 2 games with the Eastern Conference leading Chicago Steel. So we're just going to jump right into the games. The Friday game, getting into the first period, this was all Phantoms. Jumping out to a 2-0 lead at the 10:54 mark. Youngstown's Trey Taylor, his 10th of the season from Tomas Machu and Justin Varner. And then again at 15:06 with Nick Williams, his 3rd of the season, again from Justin Varner and Andrew Centrella. Youngstown takes a 2-0 lead into the second period. Early in the second period, Chicago would go ahead and tie the game up with a couple of early power play goals. The first one at 1:31 of the period, Jackson Blake, his 25th of the season from Lipkin and Adam Fantilli, which according to the opinion of some of the Youngstown fans, the lesser of the two Fantillis. We'll get into that here in a second on the Saturday game. Also at the 3:28 mark, Chicago's Joe Miller on the power play, his 23rd of the season, again from Lipkin and Adam Fantilli, tying the game at 2. That's how the game would go into the third period, and we would end up going to overtime after that. So in overtime, Kyle Bettens did have a grade A chance in the first minute. Unfortunately, was shut down by Chicago's Christian Mans. And at the 2:04 mark, Lucas Gustafson, his 10th of the season from Jackson Blake, giving Chicago the 3-2 win in overtime. Shots in the game, Chicago 24, Youngstown 33. Youngstown on the power play was 0 for 2. Chicago was 2 for 3. Chicago's Christian Mans, he stopped 31 of 33 in their win. And Youngstown's Kyle Chavette stopped 21 of 24 in the loss. That brings his record on the season to 15-12-5-2 with a 3.31 goals against average and an 892 save percentage. Again, it was kind of hard for us to be down after this game. I mean, 1 point was, in the grand scheme of things, as far as the weekend concerned, 1 point was better than no points. Just a little bit of bad luck for Bettens in overtime, and then Chicago taking advantage after that.
Yeah, and I mean, other than a 2-minute period in the second period, where we kind of, shot ourselves in the foot, it was a really solid game. So, going into the next night, I thought, I liked our chances, and, we got 1 point. So, make some corrections and try harder the next night.
All right, so the game on Saturday, this game was all Phantoms except for the last 8 seconds of the third period. The Phantoms led 1-0 after the first period. That was Steven Sardarian, his 8th of the season from Byard Hall and Grant Porter at the 16:16 mark. Probably one of the more amazing, prettier goals we've seen this season, especially from Steven. The Phantoms added on to this late in the second period at the 18:55 mark. Adam Ingram, his 25th of the season from Justin Varner and Tiernan Shouty. Now, I will bring up the point. I talked to Jacob Fowler after the game on Friday night. They did the season ticket holder appreciation night. After the game, we got to go down, get pictures taken with whatever player we had chosen. So while we were standing there waiting, Jacob was kind of one of the ones sitting that, just sitting in a row there, kind of waiting for their turn. So I kind of went over to chat with him for a second, gave him a fist bump, just kind of the corny dude, 2 shutouts. What's going on here? You haven't even been here that long. And he just kind of smiled and he's like, yeah, I'm going to try to go for another one tomorrow night. Just not laughing, just very matter of factly. Like, yeah, I'm gonna try to get another one tomorrow night. 8 seconds left in the third period. Chicago's Anthony Dowd, his 6th of the season from Gustafson and Plant, ruined the shutout. 8 seconds away. It was that close to Fowler's second shutout against the Steel this season. cutting Youngstown's lead to 2-1, but thankfully that's how the game would end. Shots in the game, Chicago 23, Youngstown 21. Youngstown on the power play was 0 for 3, Chicago was 0 for 4. Chicago's Gibson Homer stopped 19 of 21 in the loss. Youngstown's Jacob Fowler, he stopped 22 of 23 in the win, so his record improves to 10-4-0-1 with a 2.13 goals against average and a .929 save percentage. I think we've had made a really bad habit of making Gibson Homer look like, I don't know, Ed Belfour in some of these games when he's not. So to get this win over Gibson Homer felt really good.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen definitely in the past with USA, I don't think Gibson Homer is really the guy a top netminder in this league. I was really kind of surprised that, he ended up being the guy that Chicago chose. They were shuffling a few goaltenders around, and they went with Mans and Gibson Homer. But yeah, I just, I
You came so close. You came so close to doing it without breaking. Who are you talking about again?
Gibson Homer.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, he's just, I don't think he's the guy they should have picked in that rotation. So, but they got Gibson Homer.
Anyways.
It's a last name, then a first name. What's wrong with this?
All right, so this finishes off the season series with Chicago, and Youngstown wins the season series with Chicago. That is very huge for me when we do our season recap and go over the preseason predictions. So yeah, Youngstown in this series went 4-3-1-0 for 9 points. Chicago was 4-4 for 8 points. Youngstown went 2-1-1 at home against Chicago and 2-2 on the road. Chicago outscored Youngstown 26-20 overall. In Youngstown's 4 wins, they outscored Chicago 11-3. And in the 3 losses and the overtime loss, Chicago outscored Youngstown 23-9. So yeah, and we talked about this last week. When it comes to Chicago, it really depends on which Youngstown shows up.
Obviously, defense is the key. That was kind of an aberration, I think, on the Friday game. But for the most part, yeah, if we show up to play, the A team shows up to play, then we got a great chance, especially if Gibson Homer's in net.
So with this win, the Phantoms punched their ticket to the playoffs, and I brought this up a little while ago. If you really want to get technical about it, about a half an hour before this game ended, the Phantoms clinched a playoff spot when Muskegon knocked off the U17s. So what this victory did on Saturday was clinch the 4th spot and the first round home series. But at this point, we're splitting hairs. So after the game, I asked Coach Brad Patterson about the Phantoms defense and their play over the weekend, as well as being a linchpin for the team this season, and this is what he had to say.
To me, we have a group of guys, and you need to find something that everyone can buy into, and our defensive group has been steadfast all year. Missing a big component in TJ. He'll be back right around the corner. But it doesn't matter who's out there. Their mentality is, I'm going to shut whoever I'm up against down, and that's kind of bled through the entire group. It's a huge credit to them, and I thought their transition, their exits were tremendous tonight. Their second quicks, defensively on loose pucks, whether that be our center, working with them, because I kind of look at it as centers and D are interchangeable. But they've been very good at that, and they've also been chipping in on offense, which is huge.
And with that, it is time for another break. We'll be right back with this week's edition of 4 Points right here on Western Reserve Radio.
Advanced Podiatry has been making happy feet in the Mahoning Valley for 35 years. Our offices are located in Cortland, Champion, Austintown, Columbiana, and Howland. Our Howland office has relocated to 8601 East Market Street in Howland Corners. Advanced Podiatry offers sports medicine and treatment plans for all ages. You can also request an appointment online by visiting our website at advancedpodiatry.com. Advanced Podiatry, where surgery is always a last resort.
Welcome back to the Dump and Chase podcast, brought to you by Advanced Podiatry. So, for listeners new and old, 4 Points is where we break down the previous weekend into 4 categories. What we liked, what we didn't like, favorite moment, and the 3 stars of the week. So, we're going to kick this off with what I liked. And right away, I would say, as far as the entire weekend, it was the Phantoms' play with Chicago 5-on-5. Chicago 4 goals on the weekend. 2 of those was scored on the power play. 1 was scored with an empty net and an extra attacker. And 1 was scored 3-on-3 in overtime. No 5-on-5 even strength goals for Chicago. So the defense being able to hold them to that effect, and then the offense doing just enough to keep in these games. Yeah, it was definitely what I liked this weekend.
Yeah, obviously, getting 5-on-5 goals is going to be most of your goals on the season. So yeah, not having to rely on special teams against a team like Chicago, that helps. What I liked this weekend, Friday's game, the defenseman scoring. First period, we get a couple of quick goals. Both defensemen, both were just shots launched from the point or farther. I mean, Trey Taylor's goal was like, the corner by the blue line?
Yes.
We've talked about it. Sometimes we try to get cute. Every goal has to be a one-timer. Seeing defensemen just throw pucks through screens, we need to see a lot more of that if we're going to be successful in the playoffs.
Yeah, as far as what I didn't like, basically just the first 3.5 minutes of the second period on Friday. Phantoms had all the momentum coming into the second period, take a couple of penalties there early on. And Chicago is just a team, you don't want to be on the penalty kill period. You especially do not want to be on the penalty kill against Chicago. Now, thankfully, the Phantoms did fare a little better on Saturday than they did on Friday. But just those 2 early penalties in the second period, and then giving up the 2 power play goals that allowed Chicago to come back and tie the game. Again, like I said, you don't want to give other teams the power play. You especially do not want to give Chicago the power play, and that really bit us on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, you got scored on once, stay out of the box for a couple of minutes. You know what I mean? And what I didn't like was the last 8 seconds of Saturday. We've seen this several times this season, over the past few seasons. Goalie is rocking a shutout late in the game. Yeah, a team wants to at least score a goal, to save face. We have this really bad habit of letting these late goals in. I'd just like to see us hunker down a little bit better in those situations.
Yeah, as far as you just took a penalty, don't take, wait a couple minutes before you take another one at the very least. In the case of Garrett Wright, at least make sure both feet are out of the penalty box.
We've seen that before.
When you finish serving a penalty, make sure both feet are out of the box before you touch the puck. I know that was from the week before. We didn't really get a chance to talk about it. It's a rare thing, but
it's the only time I think you'll see the time of the penalty be, exactly 2 minutes after.
Yeah.
A guy serves a full penalty.
As far as my favorite moment from the weekend, that goes to Steven Sardarian's goal, pretty much almost from the goal line on Saturday. That was, his feet were on the goal line. He took that shot. The puck was right in between the bottom of the circle and the goal line. Gibson Homer basically gave him, maybe a space above his shoulder and the corner of the post, maybe a little bit bigger than the size of a puck. And Steven found that space and, basically tucked it in right behind his neck. And honestly, if I will tell you what, go to the YouTube page for WKBN. The angle that they got on that goal is actually probably one of the best ones. Certainly better than Hockey TV. You tried to get it on video, but didn't really work out all that well.
No, the angle was way too sharp. My hand is not that quick. He rifled that puck.
But yeah, if you check out WKBN's website, any of their social media profiles or their YouTube page, they actually got very good video of that goal to see like what space was not there that somehow Steven snuck that puck in.
Yeah, Gibson Homer, he was kind of leaning off the post as Sardarian takes that shot, maybe kind of baiting him. He just did not consider that, he was being used as like the cardboard cutout.
Yeah.
And that was just, that was you do that in practice, not in a game. So my favorite moment, punching our ticket to the playoffs, and, doing it, not really, we might have had some help, but we didn't need it. So, like I say, keep on playing, but, it's nice to see, especially against Chicago. We scrapped out that extra 2 points this weekend. We could have taken a loss and said, oh, we'll get it next week against the under 17s. We didn't do that.
All right, so now it is time for our 3 stars of the week, and starting right off, third star of the week is going to Kyle Chevette. Now, yes, he did take the overtime loss on Friday. Honestly, that game might not have gone to overtime. That score could have been way worse. Adam Fantilli, just some of those just upper tier scores that they have in Chicago. Kyle Chevette was giving him fits.
Yeah, I mean, top of the crease, square to the puck, quick glove, solid pads, a little bit of everything. And yeah, he stole us a point there.
And speaking of the Fantillis, I did see on Facebook somebody, and I didn't hear this during the game. I guess on the game on Saturday, early in the first period, Fantilli took a penalty, went to the box, I guess was chirping with some of the fans behind him. Apparently a large block of fans sitting behind him were chanting Luka's better.
Yeah.
I wish I would have heard that.
Bless their hearts. Yeah,
I would have joined right in if I heard that. I did. From where we were sitting, I didn't hear that, but apparently there was a very loud and proud contingent there behind the penalty box letting them know it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not, but I won't get it. I won't get into my opinions of Luka Fantilli or why he's on the team. But anyway, yeah, bless their hearts. That's great.
Yeah.
Second star, Jacob Fowler, obviously 8 seconds away from a shutout. He's been so good since being called up. I know everybody myself included, was a little nervous seeing a 17-year-old come up, but to get a big win like that against Chicago, he's already got a shutout against them. Man, that's big.
And our first star of the game is going to Justin Varner. The Phantoms only scored 4 goals on the weekend. Justin Varner had assists on 3 of them. And he's somebody we see night in and night out, putting in an 8-hour day, we'll say. Putting in a 12-hour day in these games. Hasn't been showing up as much as you would like to see him showing up on the score sheet. But yeah, 4 goals over the entire weekend. Justin Varner had assists on 3 of them. Yeah, he really had a nose for the puck this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, and he's useful, in so many situations. So yeah, him, especially on that line with Shouty, they bring that hard hat lunch pail, and just they contribute in so many ways.
Okay, and that will do it for 4 points. So after the game on Saturday, I got to have a chat with the Phantoms' new record holder for most points in a season by a defenseman, Trey Taylor. So without further ado, this was that conversation. Okay, and it's time for another Dump and Chase podcast player interview. I am here with Phantoms defenseman, assistant captain, and now the man that holds the Phantoms single-season record for points in a season by a defenseman, Trey Taylor. Did I forget anything else? Did you save a kitten in a tree this year? Or?
No, honestly, it's things have worked out well. Obviously, the coaches have put some trust into me, so it's nice. Anytime you can get some sort of record or a little bit of recognition, it's nice, but I'm glad our team's doing well, and we had a big win tonight, so that's a cherry on top for sure.
Yeah, so last Saturday you get an assist on Charlie Lurie's power play goal. That gave you 41 points on the season. That record is yours. Your name is now at the top of all of Matt Lipsack's spreadsheets. It's still another week to go in the season and the playoffs now, but at this moment, what do those accomplishments mean to you?
Obviously, anytime you get an accomplishment like that, you want to enjoy it for a short period of time, but then obviously realize that you really haven't achieved anything until you're lifting that mug over your head at the end of the year with that Clark Cup. So obviously, it's a great feeling, and I'm super proud of myself. And I got to thank my parents and stuff like that, my teammates and my coaches. So it's a team effort. So billets, and so yeah, no, it obviously feels great. So.
All right, now there's still a couple more games left next weekend. So far this season, you've had 8 multi-point games, a 5-point weekend, a 3-assist game, a hat trick, and a 4-point game. coming into the season, did you want to be like involved offensively, or was that something that just kind of worked out that way?
Obviously, I think I talked to Brad in the summer, and he was recruiting me pretty good. And I think my offensive game was kind of, not missing, but, when I was younger, I was pretty offensive. And this year, obviously, to come in and begin to be a good two-way defenseman in a sense, obviously, I'm really good at taking care of my own end, but I think now, like, adding that offense in is been nice, and it's nice to be recognized for it. And I'm hoping to continue to help my team win and do the right things to help the forwards out and scoring goals and helping the assist and stuff like that. So it's good.
So next season, you'll be suiting up for the Clarkson Golden Knights up in Potsdam, New York. The go-to answer for this question is always teammates. So I'm going to put you on the spot here and ask you, besides your teammates, what are you going to miss most about Youngstown?
I'm going to miss just like coming to the rink really every day. Yeah, coming to the rink every day. It's obviously we have a pretty good facility here with the rink, and the trainers are awesome. Joe and Watsy, they're great, and I'm going to miss the coaches too. And they've done a lot for my development and helped me so much. And also going to miss my billets. They're nice people, and it's very generous of them to take me into their house. So I'm just going to miss kind of everything in a sense, just the new culture here. Obviously, I come from a different country and a different province. And so it's just, I'm going to miss everything in a sense. It's especially my teammates. Obviously, you said not to say that, but those are the friendships you create and the bonds you create for a lifetime. And I'm really going to miss those guys for sure.
All right. Now, you guys beat Chicago tonight. You take 3 out of 4 points on the weekend.
Yeah.
Only end up allowing 4 goals over the weekend to a very, very high-powered offense. And now you guys have clinched a playoff spot. You will have a home series here in a couple weeks. The opponent's still to be determined. I mean, what does it mean to you? What does it mean to the guys in the locker rooms, all the work you've put in this season? And now you know for sure that you're moving on.
Yeah, no, it's obviously pretty cool. Anytime you clinch a playoff spot, it's hard. It's a hard league, and you got to show up every night and be prepared. And I think as of late, obviously we went on a little bit of 3-game skid there. Lost in overtime last night, which is a bit unfortunate, but 3 out of 4 is pretty damn good in a league like this against the best teams. So, we've proven that we can pretty much beat everyone. And, they're a really good team offensively, right? So, I got to give a shout out to Halsey and Carter Rose as well. They played against that top line for most of the weekend, and they were really good against them. And obviously to the rest of the deal, only allowing, two power play goals, that's it. And then obviously I think that was a high stick at the end in my opinion, but is what it is. Sitcom 5, I thought our D were tremendous, and as well as Kyle Chavette, he was unreal last night, and unfortunately we couldn't pull it out for him. And then Fowles has obviously been really good too, so I'm happy for both them. It's easy to play in front of those 2 goalies.
All right, so to wrap this up, is there anything you would like to say to the Youngstown fans who have supported you this season, supported the team all season, and moving forward here, especially in the next month or so?
Yeah, no, anytime you're playing in front of a fan base, it's good fun, and it gives you a little bit of extra oomph in a sense. Like, obviously there was a game last Tuesday where it was pretty quiet. Maybe we lost a little energy into the third, but when we're playing in front of all those fans, like it truly does help so much for everyone's confidence. And, I got to say thank you. They've stuck with it. Obviously there have been times when, it's been tough. We've gotten losses, but through it all, they've been super supportive. They're really engaged, and that's what's awesome. I've really enjoyed that. Obviously, it's not Canada, so it's a bit different. But they're the fans here. I was telling my parents the other day, they're awesome. They care so much, and I'm just so glad and blessed to be able to put on the purple and white every night. So. Thank you.
All right, I've been speaking with Phantoms defenseman and assistant captain Trey Taylor. Trey, it's been an honor to watch you play this year, get to know you behind the scenes. We wish you nothing but good health and continued success moving forward. So congratulations on everything this year, and good luck to you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And I want to also say thank you, special shout out to you and you guys doing this job on the podcast, and obviously Lipper as well, and in the box. You guys support me a lot as well, and you've pumped my tires a little bit. So obviously want to pump your tires a little bit here. So thank you very much, and you guys are awesome, and thank you very much, and say hi to your son for me.
I will. Thank you. And there you go. A big thanks to Trey for ducking out of a massive celebration taking place in the locker room, to help us out for a few minutes. And a big thank you for that comment at the end. That is going to make for a great future promo commercial. So it is time for another break. When we come back, we'll look ahead to the final weekend of the season and the Phantoms' opponent, the NTDP U17s. Stick around right here on Western Reserve Radio.
The Dump and Chase podcast is the unofficial fan podcast of the Youngstown Phantoms. but it's not always about hockey.
Have you ever played golf?
No, you should see me on the driving range. It's scary.
I haven't played in a few years, but I think the last time I played, I shot like an 83.
On 9 or 18.
On 9.
Still not bad compared to me.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been 80, but the windmill kept getting in the way.
The Dump and Chase podcast, every Wednesday at 5:06 on Western Reserve Radio.
And we're back. So this weekend, the Phantoms' final 2 games of the regular season, this will be a home-and-home series with the NTDP U17 squad. This will be the last 2 games of an 8-game season series with the 17s. So in 6 games so far, Youngstown is 5-1 against them. If you combine the U18s overall, Youngstown, and this is Justin's favorite number of the year, Youngstown is 8-2 against the National Team Development Program overall.
And what are we in Plymouth?
I don't know.
Like 3-1, 4-1?
Let's see. We are 2-1 against the 18s, and we are 2-0 against, so 4-1 overall in Plymouth this season.
Alrighty. I think the stat stands for itself.
So through the course of this series, Youngstown has outscored the 17s 28-15. Youngstown's power play is 4 for 20, and the U17's power play is 3 for 19. The last time these two teams met, that was just a week ago on the 12th. That was the makeup game on Tuesday night with Youngstown winning 3-2. Now, last weekend, the U17s played 3 games, lost all 3. Playing Muskegon Friday and Saturday, losing on Friday 5-4, losing on Saturday 6-2, and then lost to Chicago on Sunday 3-2 in overtime. So coming into this weekend, the U17s are 6-23, 3-1 for 16 points. Now combine that with the U18s. Overall, Team USA's record is 26-28, 5-1 for 58 points. So of those 58 points, the U17s are responsible for 16 of them. Yeah. These are the guys battling for that final playoff spot.
Yeah.
That they have done so much to earn this season. But yeah, currently right now sitting 7th in the Eastern Conference. Youngstown coming into this weekend 28-22, 6-4. That is good for 66 points. And like I said, we are locked into 4th place in the Eastern Conference no matter what goes on this weekend. The U17s on the season are averaging 2.76 goals for. They're giving up 4.67 goals per game. Youngstown is averaging 3.02 goals per game and is giving up 3.18 goals per game. As far as the special teams, the U17s on the power play, 16.3%. If they were their own entity, which we have done before, that would make them last in the Eastern Conference. In 33 games this season, the U17s have only scored 17 power play goals. Their penalty kill, 76.9. That would be 5th in the East, which actually combined with the 18s together, they are 5th in the East. Youngstown on the power play, 19.3%. That is 7th in the Eastern Conference. The penalty kill is 80.2%. That is 2nd in the East. So as far as the games this weekend, the game on Friday, that is a 7:05 puck drop. That is Eastern time. The game will be available on Hockey TV because the U17s or the Team USA program does not like to share their audio feed. So that will only be available on Hockey TV with Pete Krupski on the call, one of the elder statesmen of the USHL broadcasting corps. I mean, nice guy. I mean, he'll give you a shout out during the broadcast, even if you don't tweet at him before the game.
Yeah. Pete definitely loves his social media.
Yeah, before the game, during the game, yeah, but usually I try to have a little fun with Pete on Twitter before the game. I hadn't even tweeted him that last time we were up there, and I somehow got a shout out of that. So another point I'll bring up, the U17s have not won a home game this season. They are 0-10, 3-1 on the year, and they're 14 games so far up in Plymouth. So fingers crossed we can keep that going on Friday.
Yeah. Just warms my heart there to see them losing their own building.
So the game on Saturday, that again is a 7:05 puck drop. That is Eastern time. That is also fan appreciation night. And of course it is a Saturday night, so that is $2 drafts. That special is good up until the halfway point of the second period. Now this game is available on Hockey TV, and the audio will be streaming on Western Reserve Radio with the voice of the Phantoms, Matt Lipsack. Very easily just show up to the game. For ticket information, call the Phantoms box office at 330-747-PUCK. That is 330 520-747-7825, or you can visit youngstownphantoms.com. So, Justin, last week of the season, like I said, in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter. I still don't see the Phantoms taking a weekend off. Maybe some of the players maybe getting a little more or a little less ice time on Saturday, especially with the quick turnaround with the playoffs starting in a couple days after that.
Yeah, you want to rest, but, don't want to lose momentum here. And I think after last weekend, we should be okay. I think the guys are locked in. Kind of be glad that hopefully this year we get a nice, easy end to the season and can really focus on the playoffs.
All right, so we're going to take our last break. When we come back, we'll wrap up this episode and look ahead to what will be a very quick turnaround for us next week. You're listening to the Dump and Chase podcast right here on Western Reserve Radio. And that will do it for this episode. Next week, the new episode will be released on Monday, since that is when the first round will be starting. Depending on when we record on Sunday, the audio version could be released as early as Sunday night, so stay tuned for that. So yeah, the episode next week, we'll be recapping these games with the U17s, and we'll be breaking down the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we will have a player interview with Phantoms captain Jaden Grant. We'll also have post-game comments from Coach Brad. So again, we want to thank the official sponsor of the Dump and Chase podcast, the fine physicians and staff at Advanced Podiatry. For information about treatments and services offered, locations, and appointment information, check out advancedpodiatry.com. As always, the Dump and Chase podcast is brought to you by hockeyfan.com, and be sure to check out our syndication partners at ohiohockeydigest.com. Now, you can hear this show every Wednesday at 5:06 on Western Reserve Radio with the tag, I have no clue what's going on next week, so we'll keep you posted on that. Either on westernreserveradio.com, through the TuneIn or Live 365 app, the Western Reserve Facebook and Twitter pages, and the Youngstown Phantoms Facebook page. Now, all of these episodes from this season, plus the bonus episodes, can be found on Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. Now, all 70-plus episodes we have done over the past 3 years can be found on our YouTube channel. Now, all of these places can be found on our link. God, I gotta find a way to shorten this down someday. All of these places can be found on our Linktree page, the link to which can be found in the description of however you have decided to listen to this episode. Now, you can find Justin on Facebook at facebook.com/YTHockeyFan and on Twitter at YTHockeyFan. Both of those are spelled PHAN. And you can find me on Twitter at dump_chasepod. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in this week. For Justin Irwin, I'm Sam Olmstead. We'll talk with you all next week right here on the Dump and Chase podcast. Bye now.
Gibson Homer.